watching the Gorilla Report. Subscribe to his YouTube. What is it? YouTube channel? Is that how you say it? I don't know. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, or I will sign a live full-grown gorilla to your house. Do we have full-grown gorillas?
Yeah, we can get them right.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
I got zoo connections.
Yeah, you have.
Subscribe.
Welcome guys to the latest edition of the Gorilla Report. My name is Ollie Harper and we are back for another instalment of the latest professional wrestling talk show, which comes to you every single... Well actually no, it's not actually going out on Friday night this week, we're going out on a Thursday evening this week. And you know what, if this does work, I might have to change it to Thursday nights, but tonight we have got another brand new interview to release to you guys. Joining me in the hot seat this week is none other than Combat Zone Wrestling World Champion Drew Gulak. He joins me on the Gorilla Report shortly. Now I bet you're wondering, why are we in this new room? You've not seen this room before? Well, the reason for it is because the original room that we normally do these shows in is going for a bit of a makeover, a 60-minute makeover. Well, it's not actually 60 minutes, it's going to take a bit more than 60 minutes, but rest assured we're going to be carrying on with the show, and like I say, I've got quite a few interviews that I've still got to release before the Christmas season, as I know everybody's going to be busy around that time, but check out, of course, the brand new preview video, which is currently online now for the Al Snow season finale. The former WWE ECW original Al Snow is going to be joining me on the Gorilla Report season finale, and that's about everything I've got to say for now, guys. But yes, coming up next on the Gorilla Report is none other than Combat Zone Wrestling World Champion Drew Gulak. He joins me next on the Gorilla Report.
What does everybody want? What does everybody need? What does everybody love?
Alright guys, we are now back on the Gorilla Report, and I'm now joined by a gentleman who is making a big impact on the independents in the United States. This man, of course, is the current Combat Zone Wrestling World Champion. He's been working all over the world, of course, just coming off a recent European tour, wrestling for Southside Wrestling Entertainment. We're going to talk about all of that. I am joined by none other than Drew Gulak. Welcome to the Gorilla Report.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Not a problem, not a problem. Much appreciated for you coming on the show. I just want to, first of all, with any interview I normally do on here, I just want to, first of all, let's talk about your early growing up. How was the early growing up for you, man?
The early growing up for me was good. When I was little, I used to live in the suburbs here in America, outside of Philadelphia. When I was about 10, my parents had a big financial change, and I wound up moving into the city with my grandmother.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little switch for me. But along the way, I found wrestling.
Yeah. And the wrestling that you found, what was it? Was it WWF, WCW? What kind of wrestling that you were first discovering?
Yeah, it was definitely WWF. It was when I was, I must have been 2 or 3 when I started watching it. Hulk Hogan was on. The Rock and Wrestling cartoon was a big thing in my childhood.
Oh, very cool.
Bret the Hitman Hart was really popular when I was little too, coming up. The Macho Midget, one of my earliest memories of wrestling, being one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that guy? Have you ever seen the Macho Midget?
The Macho Midget?
Yeah.
I can't say no, I actually can't say I have, actually.
Right. Picture like a mini version of the Macho Man.
Okay.
But instead of it being like, a dude with long hair and a hat,
yeah.
It's like a Leatherface mask that they put on him.
Yeah. Oh my
God. His face looks like human skin, like the Macho Man. It's really terrifying. You got to look it up on YouTube.
Well, we got Halloween coming up, so I guess it would be something if they do these outfits. Why not?
The scariest costume you could ever. Joe midget.
Yeah, I think that thing would scare many elderly people around where I live. Fair enough. But yeah, so anyway, so talk about you. Let's talk about, of course, what age were you when professional wrestling became more of something that was from just being a hobby to being something. You know what? I actually want to go out and be a professional wrestler. What age were you?
Okay, well, there was a couple different times.
Okay.
When I thought like, hey, I really wanted to do this. When I was little, I don't know, I was like more egocentric than most kids, and I think that kind of carried with me today. I think I feel like I've matured at a slower rate than most people do, so I've kind of been stuck, in that stage. And one of the things I remember when I was little is that I would watch superstars, and let's say someone would get slammed down, and then whoever he was wrestling would go up to the top rope, ready to drop the big elbow. And like I'd seen this so many times week after week, and I'm just sitting there going, "All right, dude, you can move. You know he's going to jump on you. Just move out of the way. Just roll over, and you'll survive the match." But they would always just lay there. And I always thought, like, if that was me in a match, I would roll out of the way. And that kind of like stuck with me as I grew up. And I think even like as I was training and stuff to be a wrestler, that kind of attitude, if that were me, I could do a better job.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just kind of the attitude I've always had. And, I've grown through that in that sense. But the part that hit me the most was after I'd started checking out Combat Zone wrestling shows.
Okay.
Right. And that was back in like 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
Like in person. That was my first time ever going to a wrestling show in person, an independent wrestling show. And it was way different than anything I'd ever seen. You're right next to the action.
Yeah.
And I'd see guys at the time, it was like the Briscoe brothers when they were really young, and like the Amazing Red. I remember he was super young. And I'm looking at these guys, I'm like thinking, they can't be much older than I am. They're not much bigger than I am. I could totally do this. I had the confidence there.
Yeah.
And those are the two times in my life where it was like, all right, I can be a professional wrestler. I can do this.
Yeah.
And here I am today.
Indeed. And let's talk about your early training, your actual early training steps to being a professional wrestler. Who was it that trained you?
Well, my trainers were Mike Quackenbush, Chris Hero, and Scott. Those are my head trainers for the core of my training.
Sure.
They were in charge of the CZW training.
Oh,
as well as the Chikara Wrestle Factory. Like they were merged into one school, and that was pretty lucky. But I started out with Combat Zone wrestling, and I don't know, the way I actually went down and checked out Combat Zone for the first time at the age of 13. I was attending Space Camp in Alabama, in Huntsville, Alabama, and one of the kids who I went there with, he was related to a wrestler called Rick Blade. He's an old CZW wrestler, and he showed me a VHS copy of the event known as They Said It Couldn't Be Done. And I remember like the main event was something crazy. It was like Wife Beater versus Nick Gage and like 200 light tubes. I'm on vacation with my family, like learning this stuff at Space Camp, And this dude hands me like a CZW tape on video, like a Smart Mark tape, and he told me it's right by my house. So like when I went home, like I obsessed over it, and I wound up going to that Best of the Best show in 2000 or 2001 and checked it out. And then eventually I did a year on Ring Crew. I did get to train. Me and my brother did a year on Ring Crew, just helping them break down. Then I went to the school, and I tried out at the CZW Wrestling Academy, and that was in 2004, before they had merged schools. And then in 2005, they merged with Chikara, and then I got to train with Mike Quackenbush, Chris Hero, and Jorge Rivera, my trainers.
From the sound, three very, very good, world-travelled guys right there, so you've got a very good start in the business when you've got three guys like that.
So lucky, and like I didn't even, it's crazy how lucky I am to have received the training from those guys. Like how much they are all so respected in the industry. I cannot take that for granted. It's truly an honor and like a privilege to have had that experience.
Sure. Actually, one thing I want to ask you. I've got a lot of guys that actually watch this show that are up and coming wrestlers themselves. They're mainly training down at the House of Pain in Nottingham, England, the House of Pain Academy. What kind of advice could you give to these young cats that are, just getting into the business themselves?
I would say first and foremost, be ready to take a lot of stuff that you're not going to like.
Yeah.
But pretend that you like it. and start to like it. Biggest problem I see with young guys getting into business is that they run their mouth, and it'll expedite your training and speed up everything if you just, no matter what you're put through, just don't say anything. Don't ask questions that don't need to be asked. And if you do, raise your hand and make sure it's okay.
Sure.
Just listen. That's all you can do. Listen. Other than that, train very hard. Study a lot of wrestling. Watch what you liked getting into it. Whenever you go over in your training, look for that the next time you watch wrestling. Never stop looking at new stuff that you haven't seen before. And also, watch the people who inspired, people that you look up to, and as far back as you can, and try to figure out why more than anything.
Of course, yeah.
I think also, if you're a young guy starting out, definitely learn the techniques. Absolutely learn the techniques. Learn how to do them properly and safely, but focus on the emotion and expressing that through the wrestling, and that'll get you a lot further. Than you would if you just what cool move can I do today? What cool move hasn't been done? It's really not important.
Yeah. Just let's say focus mainly on the basics, and then once you've got them under your belt,
just focus on the story that you're telling through your acting. That's your actions mean so much more than or the why of your actions mean so much more than the how.
Sure. Also talking about CZW, one thing I actually want to ask you, the ultra-violent style. Now, of course, we had DJ Hyde on the show a few weeks back. We did a live sit-down interview. You made a cameo appearance. It was very very comedic. But like I say, talking about the ultra-violent style. Now, of course, I asked DJ Hyde about it. He told me what his thoughts are to the doubters of it. What are your thoughts to people that will bash CZW and just say all it is ultra-violent? Because really, you're more of the technical wrestler. What would you say to these people?
Well, I just met a gentleman in Chicago this past weekend.
Yeah.
He came over to me and he saw the belt that I had laid down. He's like, "Oh, CZW." He's like, "Yep, all right, I'm done. I don't need to see that." And he started to walk away. I was like, "Wait a minute, come back here and talk to me."
Yeah.
And I was asking him what he didn't like. And most of these people, they have honestly never watched our product.
Yeah.
They have only heard things, or they maybe seen clips on YouTube, and immediately they have something that I don't know if it's an intrinsic feeling that just or an internal feeling that it's like, all right, I'm better than this. What I watch is better than this.
Yeah.
Because you want that feeling of superiority, and that's great. Everybody has that in a certain sense, but the thing is, they're missing out on a huge portion of professional wrestling that is really, for the last 15 years, I'd say CZW has probably made the biggest impact, or is responsible for making the biggest impact since a company like ECW has on our level. And I might say that with a little biasness, but I say that in look at the facts. We've had guys for years and years and years start out and really get their first break in a company like Combat Zone Wrestling.
Sure.
And I feel like the initial hook for CZW are its death matches. These spectacles of violence, is how they're portrayed. But I'm a technical wrestler by trade, by comparison, and I feel like it shocks a lot of people when they come up to me like, "Oh, you're a CZW guy, huh? Eating light tubes for breakfast and getting thrown through barbed wire all the time." And I'm like, not really.
Yeah.
Not almost never. Yeah. And as far as deathmatch wrestling goes, that's really what drew me into CZW. That was so awe-inspiring to see these amazing feats of physicality and brutality. And it's what drew me. It's what drew me into it. And I hate to see people injured in any case, especially one involving weapons or stipulations that could be avoided, if you're trained properly to do so. But a lot of times, it's very much the opposite of don't try this at home.
Yeah,
and see people, just go in there with really no experience in the thing, and that's when the injuries occur.
Yeah, of course. So let's say, talking on a little bit now, say some other promotions that you've worked for. One of them being WXW. So let's talk a little bit about, of course, WXW. Of course, you recently worked there on your European tour. Tell me about WXW from, say, CZW.
Well, Westside is our European affiliate.
Yeah.
We are a member of the Triangle of Unity, along with Big Japan Pro Wrestling, and it's the only collaboration of its kind in professional wrestling where, hey, if I'm a CZW guy and let's say I want to go get experience in Germany, I can send myself over there and they'll have room for me and they'll take care of me. And same with Japan. If I want to go to Big Japan, and get experience there as a CZW guy, as a young guy, I'll just send myself right over there and I'll go live in the dojo for a few months. And like any of their guys are welcome to do the same here too as well. And as the CZW portion of it, we really go out of our way to try to, help those guys with their training and their networking more than anything. I think over here, networking is probably one of the biggest things for a wrestler to get a hold of. But WXW, I would say that they're most infamous for the intimacy of their crowds and their audience, and a very well-educated audience in that they actually were independent wrestling fans. Before they might have gotten into like the local stuff even, and I think that was a big draw for WXW. And now it's so amazing to see how much that promotion's grown. They're touring around Germany. Their local talent is getting so good right now in the ring, and they're really becoming, I think, one of the most respected companies in Europe because of the hard work that those guys have put into that company for the last 5 or 6 years. It's really been cool to see that grow, and for me, it's just been really cool getting to travel over there and meet those guys and the representative of my company, and kind of globalize what we do. It's really cool.
Another thing I want to try and do now with you, I want to do a little thing. I did this actually with Greg Excellent a few weeks back. Actually, he was on the season finale of season 1, Greg Excellent. The thing's called word association. Basically, I'm going to put a name out there. You can give me a sentence. You can give me the first thought that comes to your head. I'm going to drop a couple down. So the first one is Tommy End.
Okay. Tommy End.
Yeah.
Probably the top wrestler in WXW right now. Yeah. Probably top core guy from that company. A really good person and a good friend of mine. Really cool to be around. Has a very unique presence and style about him, and I think it's very contagious. If you look at the people that he's in there with, and the people that he's around, he's an impact guy that it carries from him to other people, and I think he's really progressing the art form in that sense.
MK McKinnon. Now, the reason I'm bringing up MK McKinnon, of course, I know you recently worked with him for Southside. I wanted to really say, what do you think of the youngster?
MK McKinnon is probably the best core guy from Fight Club Pro as a representative of that company. And that's not to discount, Trent Seven or any other guys that come out of there. But I think he's the one who could easily be supplanted to another organization the most. And I feel like what that's going to do is raise the popularity of Fight Club Pro. MK, as a youngster, has all the potential in the world to go anywhere he wants in this business. And it's really cool because he's a great guy, and I got to know him a lot over the last couple of years. So, bright shining example of British wrestling right there in MK.
Yeah, he's a couple of months old. You're older than me, actually. He's about the same age, 21. It's quite amazing.
It's amazing. Not only he's 19, it's amazing.
I know, it's crazy. John Moxley.
Just pure, I don't know, raw. I guess very visceral. His performing is so visceral, and you know what? It's like it's just him cranked up, and that's what they say. All the best wrestlers are. It's just him kind of turned up to 11, and he turns it up to 1,000. That guy's really, really cool to watch. Just another example of what I was talking about earlier, where guys get their big break over here and then start blowing up all over the place. But you got to have that X factor, I guess, to go off of. And he had it, and look at it now. It's really cool to see.
And the last one, I'm going to say Greg Excellent.
Okay. Greg is a good friend of mine. I've known for years and years. He is probably the most passionate guy in our locker room. I can say that, just based off of getting to know him over the last several years. Probably the most entertaining guy on our roster, too. Which is funny, because CZW is not known for the style that Greg portrays. But anytime Greg goes out there, he tears the house down. And it's a good reason why. And if you're someone who has not heard of Greg Excellent in the past or has not had a chance to check him out, I'm not kidding when I say that he's the most entertaining guy in our locker room, and it shows every time he's out there.
Yeah, definitely. So, from, of course, working with the Southside Wrestling promotion, of course, you got to see, I'm guessing, did you get to see from the curtain, did you get to see some of the matches that were taking place on the show? Is there any UK guys that really stand out to you from that night that you would love to see in CZW?
What did I watch? I watched Haskins wrestle.
Haskins Drake Younger. Yeah.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think he would fit in easily over here.
Yeah.
I watched Ligero wrestle in that freeway. He's he works so hard, and I know his reputation well from being doing some tours in England, and getting to see him in person was really cool.
Yeah.
And then Styx was actually really impressive that night as well. Yeah. I feel like that guy has a very, very unique presence about him, and it's cool to see that because I see guys like that here in America sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I haven't really seen that yet over in England, but when I saw him come out, he's a heavyweight champion, and it's there's a reason why.
Yeah.
And I think he would also do well in America.
Have you got any plans to be returning to the UK next year at all?
There's been talks about possibly doing a small tour in the summer.
Yeah.
And I would love to come back, at any time.
Yeah. So let's talk about, of course, your future projects. Let's talk about future projects. What have you got? Anything you'd like to plug for us?
Sure. I'm involved heavily with Beyond Wrestling, which is a company that does a lot of their promoting online through social networking and YouTube. And you can check out their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Beyond Wrestling. They just had two big events, one called American Rana over the summer, which is it was their first really well-produced live event in front for an audience. And then Point of No Return was another one. There are two DVDs that came out recently. You can check them out. I wrestled Chris Dickinson on the first one, and I wrestled a team with Biff Busick against Roderick Strong and Eddie Edwards in the main event of the second one. And they're available on the DVD. You can check them out on Twitter at Beyond Wrestling. And I know they'll be back in Rhode Island on November 17th, even though I will not be able to be there. Also, I'm part of Dragon Gate USA. They got two events coming up on the 16th and 17th in NYC. Wrestling is Art. I'll be there next week, I think. Yeah, in a week and a half on November 7th and 10th. When's this airing, by the way? Is this?
This is actually these dates. We pre-tape these. This is probably going to be going up sometime in December.
It's going to go up in December, so these are all events I'm plugging that are already going to happen.
Oh, okay. Please.
You guys missed out on some great stuff. Beyond Wrestling happened on the 17th. 17th.
You can plug January stuff if you want. We've got the new year coming up.
The only event I have in January coming up is CZW on the second Saturday there. That'll be back in Voorhees, New Jersey. Everything else is still kind of up in the air for me. I have a lot of dates have not been set by the local promotions that I work, and I just started working for Battle War out in Canada and AAW out in Chicago. But really, Cage of Death is our big show. That's December 14th.
Yeah.
That'll be viewable on CZWiPayPerView.com.
There you go. That's the plug right there.
That will be a show not to miss.
Indeed. Of course, you were just mentioning Dragon Gate USA, Gabe Sapolsky's promotion. How did the getting into Dragon Gate? Let's talk about Dragon Gate USA. How was getting into Dragon Gate?
Well, I got into the Dragon Gate family by Chuck Taylor.
Yeah.
He's been a good friend of mine for years and years, and he needed some guys to get his back, basically. He brought myself and Orange Cassidy in there, and the Swamp Monster along with him, and that's kind of how I got into Evolve, and then into Dragon Gate USA from there as an affiliate of that.
Fantastic. The guys in Dragon Gate that you've worked with that you really want to see, some guys to the guys that are watching this. There's probably some people that don't actually watch Dragon Gate. Tell me some guys that, off the top of your head, that are buzz names that you could say, go and check out Dragon Gate for those guys.
Oh, geez. Donnie Gargano and Ricochet, two off the top of my head right there. You got to see it for them. They are the embodiment of those promotions. I feel like those promotions have been based around those two guys for a long time. Definitely check those guys out. Let's see, Biff Busick should be getting more work there regularly. He's someone who I've been praising for a long time now. I have a lot of respect for him. Yeah, there's a lot of talent for Dre. They try to get the cream of the crop. At least that's what they say.
Yeah.
And some of the guys that they have there are like unbelievably talented. Chuck Taylor is one of them.
Yeah. So let's start wrap up now. 2014, of course. Now, of course, I taped this a little bit earlier in the year. It is going up a little bit later. I will say we are into Christmas time technically, but with 2014, Mr. Gulak, what do you want to get out of 2014? What are your New Year's resolutions? What do you want to be striving for 2014?
My priority, and it's pretty much been the same priority for the last couple of years now, and it's just to see Combat Zone Wrestling grow to new heights, or take that to a new platform. Yeah. At the same time, I have to do that the only means I can, and that's by getting myself out there more. Getting more experience up to whatever level of exposure I can get on an independent level. Even so far as traveling overseas or working for a contracted company, I have to do my part in that sense and be a good representative of my company. And I feel like that's going to be my main focus for 2014. We'll be doing that.
Sure. Like I say, with the recent news, of course, where you've got people like William Regal going round as a WWE talent scout to a lot of these independent promotions. I know I believe he went to PWG Bowler the other month. He'd been basically going around. Of course, they've definitely got their eye on the independents in the States, and guys like you are definitely people they should be checking out. So, absolutely. But I just want to say a big thank you very much to Mr. Drew Gulak for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem. I want to say, of course, we are in the season of festive cheer now. It is Christmas time, and are you...
Happy Hanukkah, guys.
Have you got anything? Are you planning anything good for Christmas, Drew?
It's weird. Like right now, I'm kind of torn. I got a bunch of things that I could be doing. I usually just spend it with my girlfriend and her family.
There you go.
Just do a big Christmas thing.
Yeah.
So I'll probably do that unless I get called overseas. I might be going to Israel for the first week of January, or I might be going to California to film something over New Year's.
Fantastic. Well, there you go, guys. Like I say, big thank you very much to Drew Gulak. My name is Ollie Harper. You have been watching The Gorilla Report, and we will see you very, very soon. Keep on watching your professional wrestling. We'll see you later, guys.